how inner stability, not external achievement, is the real foundation for meaningful success. Solve all my money problems, solve all of my health issues, etc., etc. That's what I'm aiming for. And I don't believe that this is true. I think this is an illusion. So I'm much more interested in making us proof, life proof. If we want change to happen in the outside world, we have to be the change ourselves. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Redesign Your Life Today, the podcast where transformation becomes tangible, where we move beyond performance and into purpose, beyond success and into true alignment. And today I've got the pleasure of welcoming a very special guest. This guest is Clem Harding, whom I have known for some time. So Clem is a mindset coach who works mainly with entrepreneurs. And Clem is a guide into the profound territory beneath and ambition, helping us understand how inner stability, not external achievement, is the real foundation for meaningful success, conscious leadership, and a life that feels like home. So, again, very warm welcome, Clement. I would like you to introduce you a little further. What's your story, Clement? What makes you do what you do today?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, Daniel. I am extremely excited. It's an honor to be on the podcast with videos and audios of such great qualities. I've seen your channel, so I'm really excited, and I'm sure that the listeners and the viewers are going to enjoy all of your content. So I couldn't be more excited to be here. And thank you for this introduction. It's really feels really aligned. You were talking about alignment in the introduction. Feels really aligned to what I'm doing today. And it's been a journey. I know that it has been a journey for you too, and several things that has happened in my life. I've had a very busy life. I've had loads of changes through my life, challenges as well as changes, major ones such as big life threatening health challenges at some point. Had a stroke when I was 24. Um, Relationship issues, big breakup after 8 years of relationship. I've had family aspects also to have to navigate, losses of really close family members as well. And yeah, look, it's been a really full life. I've lived abroad in different countries for 5 years, in India, in Colombia, in Spain, in the UK. I'm from France originally, so I have experienced change, I think it's fair to say.
Yes. Yes.
And navigated everything, and everything has been an invitation to where I am now, and what I'm doing now is the sum of all of these experiences, obviously the personal ones as well as the experience of coaching others, which I've been doing for 6 years now. And we've known each other from the beginning, haven't we? When we were I was just starting in 2020, 21. So
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I was starting as a coach, but the journey has not started then. It started very much earlier on. And my what I want to talk about really is to help people understand how to have more stability, feeling grounded, feeling calm, whilst navigating the reality of life. Yeah. I want to talk like real life. We know in life we're going to experience challenges, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you would agree with that, but I feel that sometimes when we look at social media and when we look at some sorts of information, there could be a belief that, okay, I need external life to change, and for not, not to experience any problems again, and then my life is going to be great. Solve all my money problems, solve all of my health issues, etc., etc. That's what I'm aiming for. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't believe that this is true. I think this is an illusion. I think we are meant to be experiencing through our life health issues, or it could be like health issues through close family members and things like that, loss, challenges, the market crisis, etc., etc. So I'm much more interested in making us proof, life proof, and able to go, right, okay, bring it on. Let's see what that next wave is going to be. And I'm going to learn to become an amazing surfer, but not to pretend the waves are not here and not either to push them away, but having enough of that stability to go, okay, I can actually make the most of the, periods of time and phases of life that are amazing, and really enjoy them and create exponential growth, but also have enough resources so that I'm not going to collapse and the challenges are not going to destroy me. So that's the way I like to look at things. What do you think?
Well, I have to say I'm fully aligned with you. And again, these are things I learned as well
Yeah.
over the last few years. I've been as well on a kind of spiritual journey, Clem. And now, for me, it's obvious that the outside world, it's a mere reflection of who we are internally.
Yeah.
And if we want things to happen, if we want change to happen in the outside world, we have to be the change ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, I'm fully on par with this. And as well with what you said, Clem, is that actually now I've got certainty that everything which happened in our life happens for a reason.
Yeah.
It's here to teach us something.
Yes.
And again, and it can be sometimes challenges, but what do we make of that? Because I guess success, growth is just on the other side of
Yes.
those challenges.
Yes. Yes. And I think as well, I think it's a great point that you're making. And I think that growth and success can look quite different depending on which season we are in. I love to talk about different seasons. And
Mhm.
there are, multiple ones, but particularly in my coming book that I'm completing at the moment, I love to I love to talk about these three different seasons. So there's the growthful season when, I'm feeling great and I have capacity and life is sort of easier and there's like this expansion, right? I believe we also go through in life survival seasons, moments that are, and sometimes they're shorter, sometimes they're longer. It really depends of the situation, right? And um, there isn't always a way to avoid them, yeah. But that doesn't mean that it cannot be growth within that season still. And maybe within that season, growth is going to look different. Maybe it's going to look potentially slower than what we would have wanted it to be, because I think we compare it very often to the growthful season. We would want to be in the growthful season forever. And, that's great. It's a great desire. But recognizing that, okay, now this season, for example, I'll give you some example of what survival season could look like. Having an elderly parent that you have to care for some
Mhm.
time, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of your life is going to like go onto the back burner at this point because you've got to focus on caring for this person. I've recently experienced motherhood, and I have a 2-year-old. So for me, this has been a season when things have had progressed a lot slower than previously, right? So I've had to embrace things differently, and but that doesn't mean that within that season the progress has not been great. It's been great within these circumstances because I wanted to be there for my daughter and spend a lot of time with her and be as close as possible to her, right? And I believe we also go through alignment seasons. So alignment seasons will be when we've realized that the life that we currently living requires a major change and shift. Could it be moving somewhere, even abroad? Can it be a change of career, creating a new business? It can be a big change in a relationship and in the family dynamic, for example. And that's going to require a lot of energy. There's going to be potentially a lot of work to do on what is it that I want to do. How do I decide? How can I refine exactly that connection to myself so that I know how to navigate that? So it's still, all of it is growthful. All of it is potentially transformational. And I believe that what we're doing when we're coaching is that we're giving ourselves the keys to make the most of each of those potential circumstances and situations. So what do you
It,
think about that?
it's beautiful, Clem. So, I mean, of course, this resonates with me, and the way you outline it, Clem, it's really interesting with these three seasons, and you gave us some examples. So, when you work with your clients, can you give us some examples of, perhaps people experiencing certain things depending on the seasons they were, some things which comes to mind?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a wonderful question. So I believe that sometimes it's not as separate as, oh, am I in this season or am I in that season? And sometimes there can be some crossovers, but I found that they were interesting as a little bit of a canvas to sort of help to locate ourselves and to understand, oh, this is what lives look like now. This is not going to be the whole of life, but I can accept that this is the circumstance now. So I do have clients who are experiencing like realignment seasons. So sometimes they already know what change they want to implement. And for example, I have some very successful entrepreneurs that come to me, but they realize that this is not what they want to do. And they've been going through the motions and doing something because they knew that they would be successful, that there was a niche and there was a market, while there was a different calling, and they start to recognize and listen to that calling of going, this is not what I want to do. What I want to do is this. So navigating that realignment is wonderful. But other times as well, people will come to me knowing that there's a need for realignment, but not knowing what it looks like. And I'm sure that you've experienced that as well. I know something is wrong. I don't know what, and I don't know how to deal with it, right? And as well, I feel like some of my clients that I've worked with can be a little bit stuck in the survival season, in the sense that it does not become only a phase that you go through because you've had the flu or a chronic illness or a big change and you struggle to have the resilience to sort of bounce back. But it becomes a sort of a default thing that without realizing we sort of keep alive with modalities of self-sabotage, for example. So that could be another way that is very, very interesting. So and it's always, in my experience, it's always interesting to go and look at what internal sabotage can be happening that we might not be aware of. And I think this is one of the beautiful, powerful aspects of coaching. And I think what the seasons do is they help us to see the bigger picture, and then we still need to look at the sort of the micro picture and, oh, what is happening in my day to day that is draining me, that is costing me my energy, is costing me more stress to experience, etc. And obviously the growthful season. So the growthful season is often looking at, I'm sure where I want to be. I feel very aligned. I don't have any major issues going on or any major challenges going on in my life. And what I see is expansion. And what's next? What's next for me? And I believe that the way to be intentional with that season is either than going through the motions and just go, oh, I should be, for example, for a business, I should be scaling, I should be getting bigger, I should be this and that, and challenging that a little bit and going, is this what I want? What does progress look for me and success look for me? Do I want actually more time? Is there a way? I don't believe in the shoulds. I don't like the shoulds. I call it the should monster. Oh, I should, I must. No, there is a way to live differently and for this growth to benefit you and not being growth for the sake of growth. I think this is a very important distinction.
You see, there's so many points here. I mean, obviously, which so much resonate with. So I hardly know where to start with, but I know where I will. Uh, because obviously, you use a word which is quite dear to me. I mean, particularly in my current life, it's saboteurs.
Yeah,
I mean, both of us have been engaged in this program, which is called Positive Intelligence,
yeah,
and you see, what people don't realize that all of us, we are programmed, and
yeah,
these programs take 95% of our thoughts, which come from our subconscious mind. So actually, when we talk about, for instance, some saboteurs like judging oneself or being a perfectionist, which I used to be big time, or
yeah,
being a hyperachiever, or being a victim, or being a restless person, how do you help people as well understanding
yeah.
these patterns or these programs?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And this is very connected to what I've written about in my book. So for me, I believe that it all comes down to the conditioning, right? That we all experience to some level. So we are born this incredible essence, this person that's not broken, that's completely whole. It's amazing. And when we see children, we see that, don't we? We're not going to go like, oh, this one needs a little bit more of that. This one is not quite right, etc. We just look at them and we just like fascinated about the difference and how amazing they are. But because we live in a society, because there are certain rules, we pick pick up on conditioning. We pick up on some patterns
Mhm.
that are trying to protect us, are trying to make us belong, are trying to make us fit in, etc. We're trying to correspond to that world so that we survive in this environment. This is a very, very primitive thing. And interestingly, and this is what the positive intelligence program has been amazing in terms of training me in that regard and understanding it, is that our our biggest strengths are usually what are being used to condition some aspects of us, right? So, for example, if I'm naturally someone with a huge empathy and natural empathy, I am more likely to become, as an extreme, a people pleaser because this is
Mhm.
a strength in me that I found but that can become over time something that costs me and something that limits me because I'm then over sacrificing and forgetting myself. While with coaching and rewording and rewiring our internal system, we see how there is a third way. It's not about like not being empathic at all or being too much of a people pleaser. It's about finding that third way where I can be respecting myself as much as I respect the other person and finding that balance there together and creating that third way. I know the Buddha talks about the third way, and I really like that aspect, that theme, because very often we are so afraid, and this was true to me, for example, with control, right? Um, that I have two choices. Either I'm dominated or dominating. This is
Mhm.
how my mind, as a child understood that. It was like,
Exactly. Exactly. Uh-huh.
and I was like, oh, well, I can't be the dominator because I know I've experienced how terrible that is. I cannot be that. So my only choice, therefore, is to be dominated. So I'd rather be dominated because the fear and the threat of becoming a dominator is too big. And there is no third way, in the mind's eye, particularly when things have been programmed on a very, very early age. It's been programmed on a child's operating system and nervous system, right, with a limited understanding of the world. So we have to re-educate that as an adult and start to see, oh, there's a third way without being dominating to anyone. I'm not superior. And yet I can still be confident and happy with who I am and assertive without having to be a doormat. Ooh, it's like suddenly opening up horizons, isn't it?
Wow. Again, I mean, it's yeah, absolutely so amazing. And it's about, as you said, like if we are people pleasers, and perhaps all of us have some of that, it's about how do we respect our boundaries? How do we say no? Because as you said, these are strength. I mean,
Yeah,
which you use as a very young child to survive. It's like, oh, if we are good to our parents, they will, that this is what how do you, because of this, they're going to love us. So what
yeah,
we think subconsciously is that, oh,
yeah,
this is going to be the same. I'm doing a lot expecting, even if I don't realize that what I really want is others to respect me, to love me, to appreciate me. And if it's not the case, this is when the frustration comes because we think, oh, come on, we are doing everything. So Clem, and you see, this is valid. I mean, being a perfectionist, I think it's similar as well. We do things well because we are praised because of what we do. So we think that love is conditional. And then
yeah,
we push it to the extreme. So can you tell us what are some of the practices, I would call them even daily routines,
yeah.
that people can really take on board in order to really calm their nervous system?
Yeah, yeah. And this is gold, what you just said here. It's about this. The sense of stability is when your foundation is calmer, right? And we see that in a lot of people. It might be for those who are listening, it might resonate to you, but you also might know some people that they don't feel like they have a calm foundation to them, right? And we know those people. And although it's great to have this sort of bigger perspective and understanding what's happening and what is the season of my life, mindset work, transformational work, coaching work is not something we do once a month. It's not making that transformation real, right? And this is what we all want. I believe what we all want is a different quality of life, a different experience of life. And when is that? It's now, every moment, every breath. Yes. So we need to learn how to change that at the deepest level for us. And we have to have what we could call potentially some calm practices. Yes. Some
Mhm.
elements that helps. And what that does, I love to practice meditation, for example. For me, this is my big way to go to my calm place, and I believe that there are other ways. what we're helping to do is, it's so important to understand that. Thank you so much for this question. Is by default, we are lost in these grooves, in these patterns, right? These layers of conditioning. We react. We don't even realize that we react in a certain way, as a maybe like you were saying about the perfectionist example, or maybe a victim example. It's stronger than us by default, right? This is important to realize. So that means that if I let it be, this is what it's going to be. And then when I have a little bit of distance, I realize, and I'm like, I don't want, this is not me. I don't want to do that. I don't want to behave like that. This is not how I want to live my life. So what we want to do is to help train our focus. By default, this focus is lost with all of these different voices that we have in our heads, right? They're lost. I'm lost with it. I'm reacting. I'm panicking. Whatever it is. While I train my focus onto something else, whether it's physical sensations, for example, or different types of meditation, breath, mantras, I help to change this default mode. I help to regain the power of, oh, okay. I help to open up alternatives, right? And this is something, for example, going back to this idea of the people pleasing, right? One of the tips and one of the key takeaway, so maybe our viewers will be interested to hear that, is that if you recognize in yourself tendencies of people pleasing, the one first tip that I will give is this: stop. Instead of going, yes, 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 because we know what the people pleaser is going to be doing, right? If we ask a question, oh, could you do this for me? Or I've got a little favor. Can you change that meeting to that time? The default reaction is going to be a yes. It's the people pleaser in us, the saboteur in us, will struggle to say no. What do I do first? First and foremost, I give myself time. Oh, let me come back to you on that one. I need to check a couple of things. I'll message you tomorrow. Give yourself time, because we know otherwise the saboteur will be triggered and go, well, say yes. There's no choice. Let's say yes. And then I'm going to even offer more help potentially, and then sacrifice myself some more. Time and space. Let yourself get time to strengthen that connection to your other way of working, which is going to be evaluating. Do I want to do it? Do I have time to do it? Is this what am I trying to achieve something, or is this the pleaser saboteur? That moment to go, and when we do that more and more and more, it becomes obviously more natural. But initially, this is something we need to train all together. So this is a good example. Just like pause, give yourself time. Don't say yes straight away. Don't say yes. Give yourself time.
This is such a good advice. And you see, obviously, what you've just mentioned now, Clem, as well, it's about the difference between reacting and responding.
Yeah, choosing. Yeah.
And the reaction comes really from our reptilian part of
It
the
does.
brain. And
Yeah.
it's basically, it's like people say about we can have three types of reactions. I mean, instantly, and we can't control it. It's we fight, we flight, or we
Yeah.
freeze.
Yeah.
Now, we as human beings are the only species on this planet which has this prefrontal cortex, which gives us the ability to catch these thoughts. And
Yeah.
if we pause,
Yeah.
we can reframe them.
What's actually happening? Oh, interesting. And then when we are more aware of those patterns, we can catch it. We can anticipate them even. I love that. Oh, I know that I'm likely to react like this way. I need distance. Like you say, I need to pause. Mm,
All right, exactly.
mm.
And Clem, what is the importance of people learning not to seek validation from others?
Yeah, this is so important, right? Particularly in the conversation that we're having about potentially the self-sacrifice and etc. And this is what the whole process is giving us, I think, and very, very key to everything that I talk about. When it comes to you, your life, what's meant to be for you, what is going to bring to you all the things that you need, there are no rights or wrongs. I think that connects us back to the idea of the shoulds. The shoulds, let's throw them in the bin. I don't like the shoulds. What's interesting is to see what's there, right? Connecting back to that essence that we were talking about, the very true nature of who we are. There's nothing right or wrong with it. There is just what is, what works for me, what my needs are, going back to the strength as well, identifying these are strengths for me, these are maybe like points that are a bit more of a weakness for me. Can we come to the point of like being a bit more objective And when we do that, we start accepting also and just going, ah. And I believe, that for me, that triggers that idea of confidence. I believe confidence is not about like feeling superior, feeling good about yourself, and fake it till you make it sort of thing. I much prefer the idea of confidence is just going, this is me. This is what I've got. This is what I want to say to the world right now. This is how I want to contribute. This is all my, strengths and weaknesses. This is all the imperfection of me, but I'm embracing myself. And I'm like presenting that to you because this is the way to live, isn't it? Like this, I'm so sad and I have a lot of compassion for people trying to be who they're not. That's not what life is about, I don't think.
Well, again, you see, there's so much here, Clem, but you know, people talk about, for instance, the vibrational states at which we
Mm,
operate, and there's this scale of Hawkins, and with the lowest vibrations being about being in fear, doubt, shame, guilt. But one of the highest one is authenticity. It's because then when we are who we are, right, this is it. Exactly. People might not like us. It's absolutely fine. Again, when we learn that, just to distance ourselves and to be really the deepest version of ourselves, even on a
mm,
spiritual level,
of
this
course.
is where, well, we do things and this is it. And,
Yeah.
we feel good for that. So it's about letting go as well, letting go.
About letting go. And something that you just said also reminds me of something I use very, very often in coaching sessions is this mirror exercise because it's so much easier to recognize it in others most of the time. And what you just said there, um, like not being liked by others can feel very, very scary, right? And this is why I'm seeking approval, seeking validation, going back to your question initially. While we recognize in ourselves that we don't necessarily like everyone out there, right? Or there are personalities that we could be more drawn to, something that resonates more with us, and some that maybe not don't resonate too much with us. Like even when we talk about like our tastes or food or culture or sports or things like that. It's not that it's bad. If I don't like football, it's not that football is horrible and it's incredible. No, it's just like this is for others. It's not for me. I'm not like judging it and condemning it to like to being destroyed. And do you know what I mean? And so it's easier to do that with others and to recognize that um, even if someone is not our cup of tea, it does not mean that we think that this person is horrible. We just recognize it might not be the contact compatibility might not be best there. And that as a mirror to apply to ourselves. And we could be like, oh, so that means that if I am me, I'm going to actually attract people that resonates more to that. Ooh, so it's better for me, isn't it? Oh, and like, and yeah, I love using that as a way to see what we see so easily for others, but we don't see for ourselves.
Well, you know what? I have goosebumps when I listen to you, Clem. I just like, because you see, and again, so many things in what you just said now, but what about the importance of surrounding ourselves by like-minded, like-spirited people,
Yeah,
people who are going
yeah,
to support us and people whom we are going to
yeah,
support?
yeah. This takes me back to our alignment season, right? Sometimes in the realignment seasons, we look at the environment, and the environment is not only where we live and our home, but it's who we spend our time, right? And who I love this. It was Michelle Obama talking about this. I don't know if you've listened to her recently, but she was talking about the very, very early years for her and how what mattered. Because obviously there was loads of racism going on and discrimination, on the outside, but she was really very, very inspired, and a dad had an incredible influence on her life. And one of the things he taught her very early on is what matters is who's sitting at your table. And obviously, he was referring to the kitchen table, but I think as an analogy, it's wonderful. Who is sitting at your table? And are you
Mm.
letting people sit at your table that are toxic for you or are not aligned? And it might be great in other circumstances, but it may be not right for what you want to achieve and what's going to support you and cheer you on and encourage you, etc., etc. So yeah, I couldn't agree more with that.
Yeah, and sometimes, yeah, we have to, as you said, there might be people in our lives which we have known, but but we realize that, they perhaps criticize us,
Yeah,
they do things. And first of all, when we recognize, and one of the biggest teachings I had in my life is the teachings from the Four Agreements, which says,
yeah,
don't take things personally.
yeah,
It's when we realize that whatever people say to you, even whatever they do to you,
yeah,
it's got nothing to do with you.
yeah,
It's them reflecting their own childhood trauma, their insecurities, their fears, their doubts.
yeah.
So they're not going to change. But what we make of that, this is in our power.
Yes, what we make of that and how we can potentially change this environment and yeah, question potentially the distance. Are they being a bit too close? Do I still want them, but maybe not as close in my life? It's a very, very important question. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And what's the importance, Clem, of finding our purpose, finding our passions in terms of the growth
And
in our life?
yeah, that's a beautiful question. And it's funny, I just wrote an article about about that question, about the purpose question. Um, and because that's something that came up just this weekend, actually. This weekend, I was on a meditation course on the Saturday. I was doing a meditation day. And so one of the participants asked the question, where's my purpose? What am I here for? What is this all about? And obviously, the answers and the way that all the participants shared about their own experience were, incredibly beautiful and inspiring. So first and foremost, I would say about that it's such an individual thing, right? It's something to experience. Even that question of purpose is something to experience. It's not something, and I know you know that as a coach, but some people might not have clarity with that. The coach is never going to tell you, this is the answer for you. This is what you should do. Never. I have no idea when I worked with someone. I help them to find the answers within them. I help them to find the keys. And I love this question of purpose because for me, it's the moment we ask this question, we stop looking from an egoistic point of view. And I know for a lot of people, it can be a concern as well. Oh, if I do coaching, do I become selfish? Do I become like focused on myself and narcissistic? And that's not what I want to be. I want to be generous. I want things to be about others, about my family, etc. So
Mhm.
it's again finding that right balance again, right? You're as much your priority as much as everything else. You cannot give from an empty cup. So this is all what you do for you is all that you do for others. It's the same thing. And the question of purpose is actually helping to connect the dots for me. Because the moment I ask that, I don't consider myself separate from the rest. I'm thinking about my impact. I'm thinking about my mission. I'm thinking about how I want to contribute to the world. So I'm suddenly considering myself with life itself, within nature, within the world, within community, within all of it. And things, rise to a different level in terms of the meaning then it gives you. And maybe if your purpose is something you are discovering, the passion, the motivation is just like, oh gosh, what am I here for? What am I on this planet for? I want to find out. And I want to experience. I want to try this. I want to do that. Um, Rather than, oh, is this my job title I'm thinking about? I think it is a lot broader and a lot more connected, as that science is discovering more and more that we're all interconnected, which is also very spiritual, which I love. And I believe that question is so powerful in that way of making us see that and go, oh, and what does that change? It changes everything if we start acting from that place, right? And that doesn't mean we still don't do all the things that we need to do for ourselves, but suddenly it's got like to a different level, to a different um, sphere. Mm.
It's so beautiful. I have to say, you see, Clem, I can use, or I do use the same word as you do. You see,
Yeah,
it's now,
yeah,
why did I become a coach? I mean, I listen to coaches, great coaches like you, for instance. I was in sales management, but I realized that listening to you and the people that I had coached people all my life without knowing it. I always wanting
yeah,
people to get the best out of themselves. So I thought, well, this is really where I want to concentrate because it's something which is above myself. It's about using my abilities again, putting all egos on the side, but
yeah,
seeing how I could help people in the past. How can I do it further and
exactly.
make an impact?
Yeah, I think a lot of people that come to me have that. They feel the potential in them. Yeah. And I think this is also what you describe. They feel that there's something bigger and they feel that purpose calling, right? I think this is what we talk about when we talk about that calling. Yeah. I feel there's so much more I'm meant to be doing. Yeah. And this is usually what sort of like the first seeds to the realignment season to go, oh, right. This is the change that I want to embrace and this is how. And and that becomes an inner guidance, right? Going back to what we talked about the inner work, and rather than being deciding and being controlled by our fears, by our threats, by our conditioning, oh, we start being guided by something that's a lot more powerful, and that brings exponential fulfillment. That's my experience.
I mean, it's beautiful, and thank you so much. I mean, it's been such a fascinating conversation, and I'm sure we'll have others like that. But okay, now I'm sure our viewers and listeners took a lot today, and if even in summary, you could kind of come up with three tips now, or three steps that our viewers, listeners can take today, just today, just three small tips. What would
Yeah,
it be, Clem?
yeah. I think I would like those three tips to be like sort of under the same banner of um, work on your life rather than always being in your life. So have that little bit of reflection.
Mhm.
So I would say maybe in the first step would be try to like locate in the midst of your life, what am I navigating? What can be the season if that would relate to you, if that resonates with you? It might not resonate with you, and that's absolutely fine. What phase of my life am I in? What's going on right now? Because I think sometimes we're like so lost into the day-to-day firefighting sort of things, we forget to zoom out and go, right, okay, this is how I can locate myself. This is what's going on for me. Yeah.
Mhm.
Start from there. And then let this, internal compass like start guiding you a little bit. What do I feel? Whatever you're feeling, it is a message. Yeah. There is no right or wrong. There are only things that we want to follow and explore. Am I feeling like frustration? Am I feeling anger? Am I feeling doubt? Um, and follow that thread as a first step. Try to like maybe write down what is it? What am I experiencing overall? Um, and do I think I'm more like on a survival season, on a growthful season, on a realignment season? Do I need realignment season? And start asking yourself those questions. This is the power of reflection, isn't it? And that can be done, obviously. I cannot recommend enough the working with a coach, the right coach for you. But you can also do this reflection work with yourself, just as a journal, writing down. I know that scientists as well have proven that voice notes have got also lots of power, even if it's just to yourself, recording things or talking out loud, even just like to the room, is so powerful because what we are trying, what we're doing, we are bringing awareness. Awareness is always the first step. Yeah. So I guess those three tips for me will be around this first step, which is awareness. If you do not know where to start with that. Like sort of the macro awareness, a little bit like sort of getting closer awareness to the micro awareness. And the micro awareness could be what's been bothering me today, what's really like been awful today with me, or what's been great, and just like doing a little bit of an audit to start with and see what reflections come. Let's see clarity emerge from there. That's what I would recommend to someone who doesn't know where to start.
Well, thank you so much, Clem. I mean, this conversation has been a wonderful reminder that we don't need to become more. We need to return to who we are already. So
Yeah.
thank you for showing us that true success is not built on pressure, but on presence and inner stability. So thank you so much. And when people want to contact you, because I'm sure many of our viewers will want to contact you, have a conversation, because I know you've helped so many people. I mean, so please, so what's the best way to contact you, Clem?
Oh, thank you so much. The best way would be to go to my website, coachclem.com. There's all the links to my social media platforms. So if there is a social media platform that's your preference, whether LinkedIn or Instagram, but if you just type coachclem.com, you'll find my website. It would be amazing to be in touch with anyone. I just love to have conversations. I always offer a free discovery session as well, which is no obligation and just a safe space for, to start the exploring if that's what feels right for you.
Well, thank you so much, and so and thank you for all our viewers and who are with us. And I encourage each of you to reach out to Clem, because it will be amazing. I know that, and it's and thank you for being with us. And please, if you liked this conversation, subscribe to my channel and make sure that you pass on this episode to your friends, family, and other people who really will benefit by that. So thank you so much. And I will see each of you at the next episode.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.